race fans, Brian Aho here, and the one and only Bert Lehman bringing you episode 187 of the One to Go show. Of course, Bert, brought to you by our friends over at Zeuli's Race Engines. If you can't beat them, join them. In fact, if you're looking to join a winning team, if you're a experienced machinist, these guys are busy. Why are they busy? Because they win a lot of races, they win championships, they got a lot of people wanting their product. That means that they need more employees. If you're an experienced machinist, get a hold of Frank over at Zeuli's Race Engines. He might have a job for you over there. And if you're a race team out there, you're looking to win more races, if you don't have a Zeuli's Race Engines, might want to start there because they know how to get to the front. So, Bert, did you go racing this weekend? I did not. I tried to go down. I wanted to go help the Dulciac boys. Mother Nature prevailed. A little disappointed in that, but I did have a long weekend. Got to play a little golf with the better half. Even made a couple good shots. Probably more shots than good.
I went to Charlotte Speedway Saturday night. I had planned to go to State Park Speedway, also in Wausau asphalt track on Friday night, but there were spotty showers in the area, and I didn't feel like driving there to have to sit through rain delays and stuff. So I just stayed home on Friday night.
Yeah, and that's the benefit, right, to being able to watch stuff on live streaming, because if the weather looks bad, it's good and bad, right? It's good for us, the consumer, because we can be like, weather looks bad, I'll just watch it online if they get it in. For the track, they almost have to cancel early now, right? Because if the weather looks a little bit sketchy, a lot of us aren't going to the racetrack. We're just going to sit back, watch it online. Not a good business model to keep the doors open. So that's, I think, maybe a reason you see some tracks canceling a little earlier rather than later because of financial situations.
I mean, State Park Speedway, they did get the races in on Friday night. I don't know if there was a weather delay or not, but I just didn't feel like I figured they would get the show in because it's asphalt, so it's easier to drive the track than a dirt track, but I just didn't want to sit through rain delays.
How was the fan turnout? Could you tell by watching online?
I actually didn't watch it online because I don't have the streaming service that they were online. So
yeah, I know both tracks in the Twin Ports. Proctor, of course, they were supposed to race Wednesday. They canceled early. It drizzled all day. I mean, there was no way. And then, of course, the Gondikla Speedway, they're supposed to have the Twin 25s, and man, they busted their tails. They did everything they could to try to get that thing to go, but it just wasn't going to happen. So that got rescheduled. So Mother Nature not playing nice this weekend. Cedar Lake, of course, canceled too, the 5K. But let's start with a little hot laps, hot takes, brought to you by our friend over at Brad Parsons Soil and Egg Solutions. Now, what does he have to offer? He has products to help you. If you're a farmer in Wisconsin, Minnesota, especially Western Minnesota, North and South Dakota, he has some stuff that can help you be more profitable, get higher yields. In fact, he says he also carries foliar fertilizers, nutrient stabilizers, surfactant, and in South Dakota last year, Bert, he has several customers down there, 12 to 17 bushel increases on corn in 2022 using their foliar and at tasseling. So check them out. Give Brad a call, 320-219-3542, and let him help you be more profitable in 2023 and beyond. So, Bert, our hot takes, we got to go back to the teching deal. And it's not just with soda. It's not. It's just ridiculous. You got all kinds of craziness over in eastern Wisconsin. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? I mean, we got a lot here again.
Why don't you go first?
So, we got a lot of feedback, Bert, and we should probably do a show based on just the feedback we got from last week's show, because there was a lot of people saying, oh, here's what he did to me, and here's what he did to me. So looking back, right, to this Dexton Cook deal from a couple weeks ago, it's become pretty clear that Billy didn't know the rules. I mean, he tried reaching out to people, couldn't get a hold of anybody, took it upon himself to DQ this guy, found out later that certain tech guys were like, I wouldn't have DQ'd him for that. And they still don't overturn it. So in summary, Dexton Cook last week, right, wins the 5,000 to win race at the Cedar Lake Speedway, gets disqualified on a rule that does not even exist. It's a figment of Bill's imagination. It's in his unwritten rules rulebook, okay? fast forward to this week, Granite City Motor Park, and this is not a knock on Granite City at all, not even a little bit. Winner of the street stock feature over there, Jimmy Gullickson, parks it in Victory Lane, goes through tech, and the officials look at his car and they're like, Jimmy, we're gonna have to disqualify you. Your shocks are not at the same angle, and in the street stocks, it says in the rules they got to be in the stock mounts, can't have multiple holes, right? Says right in there. He was not happy. He kind of pitched a fit, broke his trophy in half. There was some F-bombs and a lot of name calling. It all hell broke loose, Bert. All craziness, right? So the tech guy does what a tech guy should do. Okay, a track tech guy, this is their job. You DQ somebody if they question it. You call the head of Wissota Teching, a tech committee member, whatever. So they do. They call Bill Engelstead, and Bill's like, "Well, let me take a look. Well, can't find it in the rule book here. You're going to have to go ahead and give him his win because it's not in the rule book." Okay, so they reinstate him with the win. Fast forward an hour maybe later, after everything's all said and done, they pay him, they move on, it's all done. People look in the rule book, Bert, guess what? Page 76 clearly states that the car was illegal. So do they still disqualify him then? No, well, it's too late now. We're going to let him go. So 2 weeks ago, they disqualified a driver for being illegal on a rule that doesn't exist. This week, right, they let a guy go. They reverse the disqualification because the head of Wissota Teching can't even find it in the rule book. I'm lost for words on this, right? And maybe it's not his fault. Maybe he couldn't find it. We got a committee. This falls on Wissota, Bert. Do the right thing. Is it that hard? Do we live in a world where you simply can't do the right thing? People make mistakes. I do every day. I do all the time. Ask Brenda, ask my daughter, ask my parents. Not my mom. She won't say I make mistakes. Everybody else will, though, right? The fact is, it happens. But when you make a mistake and somebody calls you out on it, do your due diligence and be like, hey, am I doing the right thing here? And if you made a mistake, own up to it, make it right. And I don't understand for the life of me. I just don't get why they're not making it right when they mess up. Is it a pride thing, an ego thing? I don't know. But I tell you, I mean, that can't happen, Bert. There's too much money at stake in racing. That just simply can't happen. So let's move on. What happened over in Eastern Wisconsin?
Well, let's see. Well, let's start with the King of the Creek. That was a 10,000 a win show at 141 Speedway. I was not at the show, so I want to preface this. I was not present when this happened. I got this from sources that I have. But as I explained on the show last week, they go by passing points. Each car, this is for IMCA stock car, 10,000 a win show. The night of the heat races, every driver races 2 heat races, and then they add up their passing points for the night, and then they top 10 cars qualify for the feature the following night. So at the end of the night, they call the top 10 cars and passing points to be inspected. They line them all up, and I've been at the track when they've done this type of inspection. So I've seen it happen, but like I said, I was not there this last week. But this is what I heard happen. One of the cars, the shocks you probably know this better than I do. The shocks need to compress all the way. And apparently on one of the cars, the shock did not compress all of the way. And they were going to DQ this driver. And from what I heard, they actually had, made the call to have the 11th place car and points come be inspected. But then what I heard was that a national IMCA official overruled the disqualification, saying the shock was bent and that's why it would not compress. Which I don't know what the rules are. Maybe that's legit. But the thing that makes it look bad is the car that was supposed to get disqualified is owned by the new co-owner of 141 Speedway. So to me, it just looks bad. Like I said, it may be legit. I don't know.
Right. And that's hard to say without actually seeing it myself or hearing from some other parties. But yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good. Let's just put it that way.
Well, and then to top it off, in one of the heat races, the new co-owner's son races. And I mean, he's a really good racer. He's a good kid. I interviewed him last year for Full Throttle. I put him on the cover of the magazine. So, I don't have any ill feelings for anybody involved in this, but somebody had told me that he was black flagged in one of his heat races, but he was able to continue. So then I went back because the races were on Flow Racing. I went back and rewatched his heat race, and yeah, a caution did come out, and he came around the track. And I mean, unless my eyes are really, really bad, the flagman had the black flag and was waving it at him, and the announcer doing the announcing, who's actually the other co-owner of the track, he actually made the comment, I don't know where they're going to position the cars. And then they said, well, Cole tapped out. 141 Speedway has a rule where you can tap out. And what that means is you admit that it was your fault for the caution coming out. And so then the other driver can get a spot back. So I don't know if him tapping out negates the black flag or maybe the officials got together and said, no, he shouldn't be. I mean, me personally, when I watched it, I don't think it deserved a black flag. But if you give the black flag and then you rescind it, and it happens to be the son of the co-owner of the track, it just doesn't look good.
And that's where a little bit of the announcer should maybe clarify and say, hey, I know we black flagged him. This is why he's still on the track. Because there's probably, if you were thinking that, there's other people in the stands going, what the hell's going on here? So a little communication probably helps a lot on that. And I saw something here, Bert, you can elaborate on this, but the old hitman Johnny Whitman wins another one, DQ'd again after the race. What happened?
Yeah, this was at Channel Speedway, and it was 3,000 to win show. And I believe he started on the front row, and I believe he led every lap, and 25 lap feature. So he comes in, and top 4 or 5, top 4, but actually for this race, the top 5 came in the scale. So Johnny came in, scaled, and I wasn't paying too much attention, but then I started looking at the scale, and all of a sudden they backed Whitman's car off the scale. And whenever you back a car off the scale, it's like, okay, he didn't make weight. So then he went back on the scale, and so I'm watching, and then he came off the scale, parked in victory lane. So I thought, okay, he must have made weight on the second attempt. But then he got out of the car. Well, the rest of the car scaled, but Johnny didn't grab the checkered flag for pictures or anything. And the IMCA tech, as soon as all the cars scaled, he walked, because I was watching this, he walked directly to the race director. And then Johnny Whitman went over by the race director too, and there's a short conversation. And then Johnny went back to his car, fired it up, and drove back up on the scale and parked it there. And then the second place car got pushed into victory lane. So apparently the rule is you get 2 attempts to scale at Channel Speedway. And his first 2 attempts. Now Johnny Whitman posted several times on Facebook that the weight of his car was different every time that he scaled. So, I mean, he got DQ'd for not making weight. If I were to guess, I would guess the scale is probably wrong, but track rules say you get 2 attempts. None of the other cars came in light. I mean,
well, here's the deal, though. So the number I saw on his Facebook post, and again, I wasn't there, but according to his Facebook post, the first attempt was 140 pounds light. the track, and there's no way.
Well, no,
the car's
I agree.
140 pounds light, so that shouldn't even count as one of the two. I see if you're 20, 30, 40 pounds light, 5 pounds light, I can see him going, you're close. Let's check this again. 140 pounds light is clear and obvious. That's a scale issue, right?
Well, I agree. If it's accurate that it was off by that much, that's why I said it. There's probably an issue with the scale. But it seems like every year, one night out of the year, this happens at Shawano Speedway with the scale. But it just so happens that, this was for a $3,000 to win show and not a regular $600 to win show.
Right.
Well, and then what made it worse is there's a video circulating of the scaling at Shawano Speedway where the late model tech inspector taped a piece of paper over the weight number and was just giving all the drivers the green light, once they got on the scale. So everybody's associating that video, thinking that was the actual video of Johnny scaling. And that has nothing to do, not even the same inspector was doing the weigh-in for Johnny. It's because there's an IMCA inspector, a local IMCA inspector who does the inspections for the IMCA classes at Shawano Speedway. And then a different inspector does the late models and the 4-cylinders. So people are putting the video and Johnny being underweight together, thinking that, how can they disqualify him? They didn't even look at his weight. Well, you got to throw that video out. That had nothing to do with the modified scaling.
Now, with that said, though, Mike Mullen got third and ended up getting second right after the DQ.
Yeah,
I
something
believe.
like that.
And he posted on social media that there's no way, he believes that there's been a ton of issues with the scales, and went on to say that people have volunteered. Let's get some scales. Let's get money together to get new scales. And sounds like it's been an issue. So,
well, I haven't heard that until today, that people are volunteering to get new scales. So I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, Mullen did get gonged a couple of years ago for being light at the scales at Shawano Speedway. Lance Arneson was gonged one year. So I mean, this has happened in the past, and but it has just completely exploded on Facebook. I just don't understand why. I know when I say this, I'm going to be called a homer, and people are, but it just seems like anything that happens at Shawano Speedway just gets blown way out of proportion. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a bad deal. Shawano Speedway has done plenty of things wrong over the years, but this has exploded on Facebook, and now on Facebook, people are bringing, back in 1995, I used to race there, and this happened and I'm never going back. I mean, they're bringing up things that happened 20, 30 years ago. And so I don't know if maybe that's why. Maybe it's because Shawano's the longest running track in the area, that, it just has, because of the history, people remember so many things there. Like I said, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say the scales are probably wrong, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's not my $3,000 that I'm losing. So I understand where Johnny Whitman is coming from also. But I just don't understand why things just blow up on Facebook and that's how some of that stuff.
That's how people are.
Just as an example, remember, I don't know, a month ago when the tow truck pulled out on the track during the race, we talked about that.
Yep.
The next week, Shawano addressed the issue. They put fencing up. All the people who want to cross the track, they have to stand behind that fencing until the race is over. No people are allowed to walk across the track. So, they had an issue and they addressed it. A couple of weeks after that, I went to Outagamie County Speedway, and there, the top 4 cars from the race have to pull into the infield. Their pits are on the back stretch, but you come in, get teched in the infield. So then they have to come out onto the track on corners 1 and 2 to get to exit for the pit area. And one of the cars pulled out in front of the field as they were about to take the green, and they had to throw the yellow quick, so they wouldn't start the race and not run this car over. Not a peep on Facebook about that happening. But when the tow truck thing happened at Shawano Speedway, it just the world was coming to an end. And like I said, people are going to watch this and they're going to call me a homer. And but I'm just just calling it the way it is. I mean,
and as a racer, right? The question I always have is, why are certain tech officials like always like out to get you, right? And not me in particular, but in general. So, okay, Johnny Whitman's light, all right, 140 pounds light, right? The first time, apparently, according to him, and then I don't know how much light the second time. Why do they got to be? Oh, there's only 2 times. That's all you get is 2 times. Well, why not just look at the scales? Let's take a look at it, make sure there ain't no rocks there, whatever. Roll the car back up. Why not just? He ain't going anywhere. If anything, the car's getting lighter if it's running. So who gives a crap, right? So if the car's sitting there, why not just let it sit there? Let's look at this situation. Make sure that this disqualification is warranted. No different than and this happens. It ain't just with soda. It ain't just IMCA. It's everywhere. But I mean, stupid little stuff. If you're going to disqualify somebody, why is everybody so quick to be, nope, and it's just end of discussion. It's final. That's the ruling. Why not just be like, you know what? Let's take a closer look at this. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's just do the right thing. And I think that's why drivers get so pissed off, because they're so bullheaded, some of these tech officials, that they just want to jump all over you. Oh, I got you. I got you. You're illegal. What are you talking about? Like, there's barely any race cars out there at a lot of racetracks, and we're disqualifying people without like really taking a closer look at it.
Well, and another thing that made the situation worse, and I mean, this is nothing new. I don't know. For some reason, it's kind of, I don't know if culture is the right word to use, but it's kind of the culture at Shawano Speedway. While all this was happening, nothing was announced to the fans. I mean, the fans see a car pull into victory lane, leave victory lane without getting their picture taken, and then a different car come into victory lane, and not a single announcement was made over the PA. But like I said, that's not new, because they used to, I mean, because full disclosure, I used to write the racing results for Shawano Speedway from probably, I don't know, the mid 90s until, well, maybe late 90s until about 2012 or so. And they even back then, they would never announce disqualifications. Me writing the racing results, I wouldn't find out about the disqualifications until I went up to get the official results for the night. And I'd be looking at them and it's like, wait a minute, where's this driver? So then, oh, well, he was disqualified. So that's something that they've just always done. And I hope they take a look at that. And I mean, the fans pay to get in. So, I mean, they deserve to know what's going on, I mean, especially in this day of social media, they're going to find out. You're not going to keep anything a secret. So you might as well just tell them up front and just be done with it. So yeah, that was the excitement that happened there. I do want to go back to the 141 thing, because I just thought of something, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. Now, what I had heard was, it was a shock issue. But the thing is, and like I said, it's probably, there probably wasn't any shady business going on, because if there was shady business, wouldn't you just change that shock right after your race before you bring it down to tech inspection?
Well, do they have the opportunity to do that? Do they go right from scales or do they go to their trailers and then the tech?
No, they go to their trailers, because you don't know if you're in the top 10 until the last heat race is over.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that is true. If you've been at your trailer the whole day, and if you're actually viably like, I know that this is illegal and I'm going to tech, let's face it though, not everybody's real smart. So that there is that. But yeah, I mean, if you're viably trying to cheat and your car's sitting there the whole time, oh, by all means, you're going to do what you can to get rid of the illegal parts. So Yeah, I
So,
think you're
but
spot on.
you know, I guess, you know, part of the point of all of this is this teching stuff isn't associated with just one track. It's all over the place.
It 100% is, and it's everything, right? It's DQing people on a whim. Some tracks don't even tech. Some tracks are like, hey, we're just going to let everything go. They don't want any drama. It's not an easy job, but all people are asking is to go by the letter of the law, right? Not an interpretation. Here's what the rule says. Got to follow the rule and be consistent. That's it. No
Yep.
favoritism. Just be consistent across the board. Sometimes easier said than done, but it's I tell you what, it's a problem, and it's a problem throughout the whole country in dirt track racing.
Well, I do want to make one point about the scaling issue is, if you ask Scott Bloomquist, he was never light at Eldora. Just keep that in mind.
100%. Yeah, every prisoner in prison, right, is 100% innocent all the time. So, but you know, we've seen it all. We're going to continue to see it all, and hopefully, all we can say is tracks, promoters, tech guys, just do better. Just do better, right? Just that's all we can ask is do better. So, Bert, let's move on. Top 5 moments of the week. We had some good ones here. I pulled an audible here without telling you, Bert. I did pull an audible on number 4. Okay, but this segment brought to you by our friends over at Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants. Of course, Buck in the NASA Hall of Fame for lubricants. He founded this great company to really help throughout a lot of different realms, right? Everything from your engines to anything metal on metal. He has lubricants to help with that. Primarily here, he has a tire treatment program, a cleaner, some treatment. What is that for? To help you save money, right? And the cleaner, legal everywhere. The treatment, probably a little frowned upon in some areas, but let's face it, drivers are not going to pay $150, $160, $200 per tire very long for weekly pay and keep racing. This here's a product that's proven it works. If you want more information, call Chad. He'll get you some information, or check out our, we did a video. It's on our Facebook page, but 507-828-3536. Ask them about these products. Ask them how these products can work for you. And another shout out here to Buck, you know, throwing money back into it. They have the Gen X late model series that runs between 3 tracks in Western Minnesota and South Dakota. Threw a bunch of money at some racers where it is actually legal to do anything you want to use tires. So they got a good product out there. So number 5, Bert, let's head over to the Devil's Playground over in North Dakota, Devil's Lake Speedway, NLRA late model action over there. Not Brad saying, John saying, parking it in Victory Lane. I think that's his second of the year, but his first NLRA feature win. And you can find this event on Darn TV. So if you've never watched racing at Devil's Lake, if you're in eastern Wisconsin or somewhere not near there, if you can't get to that place, you got to jump online, check out Darn TV. And I tell you what, this was a great race. Bert, there was a battle for the lead throughout the entire race, right? There's 4 or 5 cars kind of battling. And his dad, Brad, saying, I think adopted dad, I'm not exactly sure how that works. He got second in that one, and he's got a lot of NLRA wins. So John Sang with a great run over at the Devil's Playground. Bert, number 4, pulled an audible. I'm going to talk a little Mod 4 action. Mod 4s, Wissota Mod 4s, they had I believe it was the Funt Memorial. Don't know a lot about that. Love to hear a little bit more about it. Over at the North Central Speedway, Brainerd, Minnesota. 34, Bert. 34 Mod 4s in attendance. And Dustin Holtquist, your reigning national champion, from 16th, got it done for a history-breaking, the biggest payout in the history of the Wissota Mod 4 division, $1,734.34. There's got to be something to that. But I tell you what, 16th to 1st on the biggest show ever for the Mod 4 division. That's a tip of the cap to the reigning champ right there. Congratulations, Dustin Holtquist, on a job well done. Number 3, I'm going to hand this over to you. QSIT's Silver Dollar Nationals.
Bishop back in Victory Lane. Do you think it's a coincidence that this happens after he drove the Rumley car for a week or so?
There might be something to that, Bert. I didn't really think about that, but he looked good all weekend long. Don't know if he was, we'll talk about this. I don't know if he was necessarily the car to beat. There was a couple that were there. Top was a little dominant. He needed this one though, right?
Yeah.
I'm a B Shep fan. He's a good dude. I mean, Brandon Shepard kind of stays out of all the drama. Good family guy, hell of a good race car driver. He needed this one so bad. And now we're getting into several money shows here. But I tell you what, this is probably his I think definitely his biggest win of the year. He doesn't have many. Can he keep going? Can he keep going is the question.
Well, I mean, I think he can. I mean, obviously he's learning every time he's out on the track. You know, this is a different chassis for him. But I was going to make the comment on the show several weeks ago, but I think that was the week that I was sick. So I can't remember what race they were at before, but I was going to make the comment that, did you notice that the most mentioned name in Victory Lane over the weekend, that weekend, was Kevin Rumley? Everybody was mentioning that was the week that Shepard was racing the Rumley car. And I mean, it's just amazing what he has done for Longhorn.
For sure. And Bilstein, right? I mean, that guy is super intelligent. Chad can also move over. Dirt racing has got Kevin Rumley. And so B-Shep getting it done. He's got a big week this weekend. He's won this race.
I was just going to say this is a good time for him to start turning it around, because with Fairbury coming up,
we'll talk more about Fairbury in just a little bit. We'll get to that. So number 2, Bert. So we talked about Dexton Cook, right? I'll just be honest, he got flat out screwed over last week at the Cedar Lake Speedway. Had $5,000 literally taken right out of his pocket. How do champions respond? Okay, he's hunting. He's trying to get his first ever WISSOTA national title. Well, how's this? 3 straight feature wins to start the weekend. He won at Wilmer. He won at Princeton. Oh, and then by the way, he went head to head with this cat by the name of Shane Sabraski. You might have heard of him. Started 8th, drove by him to win at Ogilvie. Impressive win there. So 3 wins on the week. What a great response by Dexton Cook. Looking to chase down that first national championship. We'll see if it happens, but boy, a hell of a response right there. A lot of people, Bert, I'll be honest, they get screwed over like that. They cave, they fold, screw it. I'm going to go fishing. You know, they put their ducks in, they got their ducks in a row, right? They said, we're going to get after this deal and we're going to go win. That's exactly what they did.
Well, my question is, and I don't know if you've been in communication with him at all. Has he changed his car at all since he got DQ'd?
Yeah, in fact, so he did. Okay. He changed it. And they have at a couple of the tracks over there, he actually went and got his car teched before the feature, before the races. I don't know if it was before the heat or before the feature, but he got it pre-teched, and he told the tech guys, I want you to look at it here. Right? You tell me if it's legal, illegal, whatever. Just, I mean, he ain't going to dissect everything, but you look at it and tell me, and then I'm going to go race. So he took it upon himself to pre-tech, and then of course they tech him after the race as well, so he doesn't change anything. But yeah, he did make changes to his car for sure. Bert, did you watch any of the XR Northern Storm this past week?
I watched the first 2 nights, I believe. I can't remember where they were at.
First one was at Ogilvie. Second one was over at the Hibbing Raceway. And then, of course, Halberlines rained out, Proctor rained out, and then they went to Ashland for the 444 memorial for Tanner Byholm, young man that lost his life here tragically a couple years last year, maybe beginning of last year or the year before. But his dad, of course, Bill Byholm, longstanding racer. So they had the 444 memorial over there. That was the biggest paying event of the week, right? Because they had extra money put in for that memorial. Jake Radetsky, who was hot, he won a couple at the Masters. Guess what? He got another big payday. I think it was $4,444 to win the Byholm Memorial. Another good win. Pat Dorr, the race, if you're watching it online, it's like, it didn't seem real racy, but Pat Dorr came from row 6 and he got second. So clearly there was passing. It wasn't a super fast track. It was kind of a technical deal. Pat Dorr kind of meticulously worked his way up into the hunt, but Radetsky just too strong. John Canto was really good early in that race too, the old sheriff himself. But great job by Jake Radetsky. I tell you what, it kind of was pretty quiet for the last couple of years. For the most part, he's pretty good. He had good masters last year, but kind of quiet overall. But he's looking pretty darn strong. Has a legit shot to maybe be in the hunt for the Challenge Series title. He's kind of there. So congratulations to him. But let's jump into a little XR news. Did you see what XR announced that's coming in 2024?
No, I did not.
So this XR Northern Stormbird this year, okay, it was Ogilvy on Monday, Hibbing was Tuesday, Proctor Wednesday, Ashland Thursday, Twin 25s at Superior Gondelac Speedway Friday. Next year, I don't know the order. That's still going to be announced. It's going to be those same tracks. The first 4 nights, they're going to take total points accumulated and line up a finale show at the final night. I've heard a couple of rumors. I don't want to get it out there because I don't know if it's true. We're going to wait for them to announce it. But on that final night, Bert, WISSOTA late models are going to race for $20,000 to win. WISSOTA modifieds are going to race for $15,000 to win. And WISSOTA Midwest modifieds are going to race for $10,000 to win.
But you have to race. You have to race in all the shows.
You have to race in all. You don't necessarily. I mean, yeah, you kind of do. You kind of, yeah.
To have a good starting spot, you need to race in all the shows.
Because I think they're going to lock in the top 16 in points, and then you'll have to race your way into a B to fill out the last 8 spots or whatever. But that's the biggest paydays in the history of WISSOTA racing. There's never been, right? There's, as far as I know, I believe I'm correct on this, but as far as I know, there has never been a $20,000 to win WISSOTA late model race, a $15,000 to win WISSOTA modified race, or a $10,000 to win WISSOTA Midwest mod race. Now, I know they had the Bayman Memorial B mod race down at, that was $10,000 to win at one time, Mississippi Thunder. I don't think that was WISSOTA sanctioned, though. So as far as WISSOTA sanctioned events, that's big time, right? And it's still, I'll be honest with you, say it all the time, street stock's better than late models. Still don't pay what it pays to win the Little Dream coming up here in a week. Just saying, right? But what a great, that's going to be a great event. I hope that's well received by a lot of drivers.
So who's putting up the money for this? XR or
XR? Yeah, okay. XR. Yep. Yeah. So he's throwing some big money at this deal. So I tell you what, that's got a lot. I had a lot of people messaging me going, well, I better mark down my calendars for that, because it's not often you get to race for that kind of money. There's going to be a lot of details to come, but, that's big news for WISSOTA racing right there for sure. So, and then of course the Twin 25s, Bert, those got postponed. I believe it's August 6th, I think is what it is. It's a Sunday.
Actually Sunday after the USA Nationals.
Okay, there you go. So they did postpone that. They're going to run that event still. So that's good to see. And then I believe the next night after that is the XR Super Series event at the Gondelac Speedway. So a double header in Superior that week. So Bert, let's jump into a little. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you know, when is is XR still having an Iron Mine race at Red Cedar?
Yeah, I believe so. It's on the schedule. Okay. So I believe that. Yeah, I'm not 100% positive. I think that's that same week. Might even be the next day or 2 days later. So I believe they are. So let's jump into a little who's hot and who's not. Brought to you by our friends over at Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating in Ashland, Wisconsin. Of course, home of the Galloper chassis. I ran a Galloper chassis, won a bunch of races in their stuff. And also, they don't just build cars, Bert. They do any kind of custom fabricating, powder coating, sandblasting. They do it all. Chris and the crew, they have the parts truck over at several different racetracks in the Northland. Great group of people over in Ashland, Wisconsin. Of course, proud sponsors of the Fastlane Northland Superstock Series, the best series in all of WISSOTA racing. And I tell you what, they do a lot for racing. So if you need parts, tires, fabricating done, give them a call. Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating, Ashland, Wisconsin. So Bert, who's hot?
Nationally, I'll go. I'm gonna go with Bobby Pierce. He just continues. He didn't win at Husitz, but I mean, he was right there, and he continues to impress me. You know, I mean, we all know that he can win races, but I mean, he's consistently running up front in not just World of Outlaw races, but Lucas races, XR races. It doesn't matter which races. He's always, in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, he got second in the Go 50 and in the Silver Dollar Nationals. I was a little disappointed though, because he had plenty of opportunities to have some right side romance with old Bishop there. I don't know if he's getting soft in his old age or what's happening there, but he had an opportunity or more than one to use him up and did not. So he's getting some respect too.
And Bishop did mention that in his Victory Lane speech that, he appreciated that, and he will return the favor. He will race him like that when they're racing close again. So we'll see if that holds up.
We'll find out, because rumor has it there's some tight racing to be had this coming weekend. Anybody on the local level on who's hot?
I'll go with Mike Mullen. He won the 10,000 to win IMCA Stock Car Show. It wasn't a great racy track. He started on the front row, and in his post-race interview, he even said, the way the track was before the race even started, I knew all I had to do was stay on the bottom and, make him pass me on the outside. And I didn't think, he had said he didn't think anybody could pass on the outside, and he was right. But Benji Lacrosse did start 13th and did get up to second. So, I mean, there was some passing going on. It was kind of like the other race that you were describing, not a fast track, but there was some passing, but not the edge of your seat type of passing.
Yeah, if you like technical racing, Bert, I watched that feature. It was a very technical race. I mean, he had to be perfect on the bottom to not slip off it. So he like you said, he had to whoa up in the corner. He hit his marks, and to run that second lane up or third lane up, just like in Ashland and Pat Dorr making it happen over there, you had to be really, really on the wheel, because I mean, it was like driving on a skating rink, but it was a very technical race. And if you like a technical race, that was definitely a good one at 141.
Yep. And then he finished, and then in the modified, he finished in the top. Well, he got second after the DQ so he got like $1,500 for finishing second at Channel Speedway in the modified.
Yeah, that's a solid weekend. He's got a couple races coming up we'll talk about in a minute. I'm going to go with Logan Schuchart, right? Of course, he the $1 Million Man in the sprint cars, but he had the race of the week, in my opinion, this week in the World of Outlaw sprint cars. Epic last corner pass on night one at Williams Grove. Kind of put a beautiful move there on Brad Sweet to get it done. Bang the boards, cross down underneath them, and beat them by like inches at the line. Absolutely, probably the best finish in sprint car racing so far this year. Now, locally, I got to go Dexton Cook, right? I mean, quite honestly, he won the 5K, didn't pay him, didn't get the points, but he won it. And then he comes back after getting kind of robbed, wins 3 straight. He's leading the way in the Wissota Superstock National standings. He has the most wins. Kid's hungry. I'm telling you right now, he's going to be tough to beat for a national championship. You can't rule out the 7A, right? Because he can rattle off 10 in a row, just like that. But Dexton Cook responding how champions need to respond. So mad props to him. Who's not?
I didn't write anybody down for this. You go ahead and let me think on this.
Well, I'm going to start with this, Bert. We mentioned last week old Jesse Glenns was on the not hot list, and I got a little message saying thanks for the bump. Right, the bump is real. 11th to 3rd, right? That Husitz. So Jesse Glenns showing a little life in the 7X. I'm going to stick with Johnny Broking. Yeah, he won last lap pass there in Bemidji to get it done. Took a beating in Hibbing, was absolutely on the struggle bus. Still doesn't look really fast. Something's missing in that 45J. He's won some local stuff, and no disrespect to some of the local guys, but I just don't think Bert he has the speed right now in that car. He has the ability, but I don't think that car has the speed to win a big special with a lot of good race cars at it. I think Dad's faster than him, right? So Johnny's on the struggle bus. And then nationally, Smokey Chris Madden. Where's he even been? mean, he barely races. You barely see him. I don't think he's at off-road speedway tonight. I don't think he's at the race, the XR race. 28 cars at that for $100,000 to win. By the way, that's not good. But Chris Madden just kind of been, I don't know. You don't really even hear about him.
Well, on that same note, I'll go nationally. I'll go with Jimmy Owens. Did he just totally drop off of every national racing circuit? I haven't seen him race Lucas or
He
World of
raced
Outlaws for the last few weeks.
Yeah, he was at the spring national or Southern Nationals races this weekend. I didn't see how he did down there, but he was definitely at the Southern Nationals. I don't think he won anything, but yeah, you're right. He's a familiar face, right? Whether it's Lucas or World of Outlaws, and we just ain't seen much of the 20. Hard to say if he'll be. I would be willing to bet he probably won't be at Falls because I don't think that's even his type of racetrack. But yeah, I would agree with you on that one.
All right, and then locally, I can't remember what's Vessel's first name.
Derek
Vessel. I'm going with Derek Vessel because I picked him at Hibbing, and I saw he was starting on the front row. I thought, okay, I'm sitting all right. He just needs to finish ahead of Burdick. And on the first corner, on the first lap, as Ryan would say, he stepped on it.
I blame you. You picked him. You jinxed him. So Derek Vessel, that's Burt Lehman right there. Hate mail to Burt Lehman for jinxing him. Yeah, I tell you, Derek don't mess up often. Usually he's the guy that is smooth, steady, stays out of trouble. And word on the street was the track was maybe a little greasy and he hit some slime. I probably because he don't mess up like that too often. And when he did,
Right.
Massengill had nowhere to go and he tore some stuff up in the front, and that was that. So Derek, you need to respond.
It's just funny though, because it's like I was the only one who picked him, and he's starting on the front row. It's like, okay, I'm sitting pretty good. And then on the first lap in the first corner, it was all over.
Yeah, and I had Dorr, and he started like 82nd, and he was like not good in hitting. It was a good race too, because Massengill led a lion's share of that, kind of zigged when he should have zagged and lapped traffic, and Kyle Peterlin snuck by, and Kyle Peterlin is one of the better drivers to really race, period, at Hibbing. So, I mean, he's really good. So, good race up front, and the B-Mod race is pretty good as well. So, Bert, let's jump into a little fan feedback brought to you by our friends at buyraceshirts.com. If you need hats, hoodies, shirts, any kind of apparel for your race team, if you need it for clubs, anything, right? If you need any of that stuff, check it out, buyraceshirts.com. For racers, by racers. For, of course, Jordan Tollickson and the whole crew down in Montevideo, Minnesota. They do a great job. So, Bert, I have a couple here. I have three things. We got a lot of feedback. We could do a whole nother show, Bert, on all the feedback we got on last week's episode on the teching debacle. That would be, I mean, hours worth of content right there. But I got one here from Mike. Okay, he's like, what's going on with the officiating at Hibbing? Okay, so if you remember a week or so ago, they had a deal where for whatever reason on a given night, they didn't have any corner workers, okay? And they said they talked to people at the pit meeting, anybody want to work? Since then, I've talked to some people that said, hey, I reached out, never heard anything back. So there is that, right? But on that given night, they did the no-fault caution. Kevin Burdick got sideways, wadded up 3 cars. They all stopped. They go to the back. Burdick gets a spot back. Now this week, Bert, Superstock A-Main, 2 to go. They just take the 2 to go. Tristan LaBarge throws an epic block on Tyler Kittner. Little right side romance there, right? I mean, he went right. He's running the bottom the whole race. Kittner's running the top. Probably going to get by him. And Tristan went up through the block. Good hard racing. Tyler probably doesn't think so. You do what you got to do to win. He didn't run him off the track. He didn't smash him, but he definitely made his car really wide, and Tyler Kittner had to grab a hold of a whole lot of brakes. In the next corner, they come in, and Tristan had to park it on the bottom because his car, in my opinion, was not good. It was too tight, and when he kind of parked it to turn, Tyler Kittner got into the back of him, spins him around, yellow comes out, okay? Now, what happened next was interesting. Green, white, checkered finish, everybody gets their spot back. the leaders took each other out, right? What happened, right? Well, they said on the call, right? Listen to it on Dirt Race Central. There was a car in the pits off of turn 1 and 2, down by the scales, kind of more off of turn 1, that had a little fire going on. And they said, well, we're going to call the caution on that. Bert, I had some people reach out to me that have scanners that listen to the officials' calls. Nobody was willing to make the call, so they used that as an excuse. Bert, as a fan, I have a different take maybe as a driver. As a fan, if the second place guy spins out the first place guy, however you look at it, and there's 2 laps to go, would you rather put them both to the back, right? Or just give them both their spot back? What's your thoughts?
Well, it's always been ingrained in my mind for as long as I've been going to races that if a yellow comes out, somebody's got to go to the back. There's a reason the yellow came out. So, I mean, obviously, as a fan, you want to see the best race. So, I mean, you could say leave them both where they are. But, I mean, this is kind of the Troy Springborn, Andy Carl thing when they put them both in the back. And, you know, they said it was a racing incident. They were both involved. They both go to the back. So,
fans, right down here, okay? Whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, I'm gonna have Mason post this video on here, right? And you can see what happened. Some calls are tough, right? But what do you think the call should have been?
Is this the video that you sent me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. I mean, to me, there's a definite cause to the accident.
Well, I agree. What would you have called it?
Well, the guy in the back spun the guy in the front out.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. Now Tyler's a clean driver. I think he just kind of overshot it.
Well,
just park it, but he didn't hit him hard, but enough.
No, well, and the thing is that the car that got spun out pushed that other car up way over the cushion in 1 and 2. So it almost seems like it was a retaliation type deal.
It may have been, but I don't know that he hit him hard enough for it to be a retaliation. I think that retaliation, he probably should have right side romanced him or whatever. But yeah, to me, it was a pretty simple call. It really was, right? I mean, and for them not to make a call was interesting. Let's put it that way. So fans, comment below.
And I think that's part of the problem with having part of the problem with finding people to be officials in corners, because you have to make calls like that. And I mean, we sit on here every week and we talk about things, and we say, well, yeah, I watched that video 3 times, and well, they have seconds to watch it and to make a decision. So it's not an easy job.
Yes and no. The corner guy has second, but have the head judge sit next to the Dirt Race Central people and say, hey, back that up. I need to see that again. This ain't a complicated deal. If there's video footage at the racetrack, all you got to do is have somebody park next to that guy and say, back that up a second. I need to see. Okay, that's what I thought. Make the call. I don't know. I mean, you don't want that to be an hour-long process, right? You don't want to make the program go all night long, but sometimes it's pretty cut and dried. But they blamed it, right? They literally said, well, the yellow was for that deal over there. It had nothing to do with this. Well, we know that's not true, but it is what it is. So Rick actually said, we're going to come back to Houston. B-Shep getting there done over at the Silver Dollar Nationals. He goes, after this past week, and as good as he looked down there at Houston's, he's going to a familiar racetrack. Would you say that Brandon Shepherd is the favorite to win the Prairie Dirt Classic for the second straight year?
I would not say that.
Who on the record, who would you say is the favorite?
Well, I picked Bobby Pierce. I think he's the favorite to win.
You know who we want to win, Bert? We want to win.
Well, do we have a ticket?
So we do have a ticket. Here's
Okay,
how it works.
right.
So they got the falls draw. So they sold 200 tickets at $1,000 a piece. Okay. What they're going to do on Friday night is they draw out 24 names. Okay. And we have a 1 to go show ticket. Okay. So what they'll do then is they'll draw out 24 names. And in the order that they draw them out, that's the starting position that you're correlated with. So whoever, let's say they draw us out and we're number 4, right? Well, whoever starts 4th would be our driver. That's who we're cheering for. Because if they win the feature, we get 50,000. Second is 20. And you can look it up on the Fairbury Facebook page to see how that works. But would you say the favorite is?
Bobby Pierce.
Yeah, I got to go with you. He owns that place. Never won the Prairie Dirt Classic. Has not won that. Kind of like Dale Earnhardt trying to win his first Daytona 500, right? So I got to agree. I think Pierce got to be the favorite. And then we got the last one here. So got this one from Jeff. What feedback based on last week? One of the reasons that Dexton Cook did not get his win overturned was because one of the board members from Wasota said, well, Rob is a good guy and he's kind of liberal on how he texts people. And if he says it's illegal, it's got to be illegal, right? Well, Ashland, ABC Raceway, a few years back, Rob was the tech guy up there that particular night. And this same guy, Bert, disqualified, gave a 30-day suspension and $1,000 fine to a modified driver because he had a Midwest mod engine in his car. I'm just saying, no common sense whatsoever. It is what it is. So our weekly pick'em segment, Bert, brought to you by Impact Health Sharing. If you're self-employed, if you pay for your own health care, if you got employees that you cover, families, if you feel like you're paying too much, hit me up, 218-969-1380. I can get you a quick, no obligation quote. I can shoot you over some information. You can see if it's a good fit for you. You can go to any doctor. No, there's no time limit. You can sign up at any time. Hit me up and I'll see if I can help you out. So last week, Bert, big week there for our leader, Curtis. 11 points. The old 71A had 10 though. A pretty good week for double-digit points after Bert giving me some shit here. Dan and Brad at 9 last week. Mike had 8. Carl and Jeff had 7. Kent and his Bert character only got 5. I'm just gonna go ahead and point that one out.
I didn't realize Sabraski was gonna start on the pole every night.
I tell you what, I've often said he's damn good race car driver, but somebody needs to follow that dude around so when the horseshoe falls out, they can take it. Well, clean it, right? But you want to have his horseshoe. Overall points right now, Curtis. Nice little lead right now at 109. Mike's at 104. Bert and Big Bad Brad at 103. And then you got Dan at 91, Kent at 86, and the old 71A moving up a notch in the points here. I'm at 82. 1 point ahead of Jeff at 81 and then Carl at 74. So I want to take a moment here and I would like to thank Bill Engelstad because I actually had Jeff had Dexton Cook picked to win that 5K a couple weeks back. And because he got DQ'd, that puts me 1 point ahead of him. So thank you, Billy, for that. Okay. So this week, Bert, we're going to pick tomorrow night, right? It's Monday. We're doing the show. The show's going to come out probably on Tuesday. But the XR Super Series at Off-Road, $100,000 to win. Bert, only 28 cars. You surprised by that? I mean, good quality, good race cars. Not a lot of fluff, not a lot of field fillers. But are you surprised by that?
Yeah, that's surprising. I mean, 100,000. I mean, I don't know what the payout is the rest of the way down. But I mean, $100,000. You'd expect at least 30.
I would have to agree. I'm surprised by that. We're picking the high limit sprints are back in action here tomorrow night too at Grandview. Picking that. World of Outlaw sprints have a couple races over at Weedsport, and then of course the Prairie Dirt Classic. We're gonna pick that one. World of Outlaw Lates and UMP Dirt Car Modifieds. Dirt Kings, the Wabam Dirt Kings series. Langlade, was it Langlade County? Is that Anago?
Yes.
Okay. And then Sean, does Anago only race this weekend? Is that the only?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Langley County Fair this weekend. So they're racing. In the past, it's always been IRA Sprint Cars as the headlining racing group there. But this year it's Dirt King's late models.
Well, that'll be better.
And support divisions also.
Is that one streamed?
It should be on the, yeah, because all the Dirt Kings races are streamed on
FYE.tv.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Shawano. And then the Cedar Lake Speedway, of course, the month of money for the late models rained out last week. So this week's the month of money for the mods and the late models, 5,000 to win. And Bert, Gondikwa Speedway Friday, Hibbing Raceway Saturday, Halberline Speedway Sunday, 5,000 to win for the late models all 3 nights there. So we got a lot we're picking. Little slight bit of a recap here from last week. You said you watched a couple of the XR Northern Storm races. You got to be honest, the first couple of nights, I think, crazy for me to say this, the B-Mods put on the best show. Probably the race of the week overall. Ogilvy had a side-by-side race for the lead between eventual winner Jason Vandekamp and national point leader Zach Benson, where they were side-by-side lap after lap. And then Hibbing had a great race up front too between Chernosky and Charlie Castle. Door won at Ogilvy. What a shocker. He never wins at Ogilvy, right? Kyle Peterlin won a great race in Hibbing, and then Radetsky won at Ashland. Cedar Lake, of course, rained out. World of Outlaw Sprints, you had Gravel, Schuhart, and Rico Abreu winning their 3 races this weekend. You've talked about Mike Mullen winning the King of the Creek? Is that what it was? The IMCA stock cars. USMTS raced. I don't know if you noticed, but Tom Berry Jr. shelled a motor. Did not race the 3rd night, I don't think. He may have, but I don't think he did. Sounded like he was struggling to find parts. Jim Chisholm, Terry Phillips, Derek Ramirez, your 3 winners there. And then we talked about it. RTJ won night 1, and then Bishop won at the Silver Dollar Nationals. Now I do want to give a shout out at Houston's. The prelude to this event was they had the repairablevehicles.com Tri-State Late Models, and they had a double header. So they had the Ben Nordorf Memorial. That was 6,000 to win. Cole Searing with another big win. I mean, he's got multiple big paydays this year. And Justin Zeitner won the $4,000 race there. So Trevor Anderson from Dirt Race Central or Dirt Track Supply, he wadded stuff up pretty good at Houston. It sounds like he's okay, but car took a big hit.
Was that the division Jesse Sabine was racing in?
Yes.
He took a violent roll at Houston.
Oh, he did too? Okay.
Oh, you didn't. I thought that was Sabine that rolled.
What night was that?
Saturday night.
That would have been the SLMR late models.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So yeah, they came in and they kind of were the second class there the rest of the week. Tri-State on night 1. I don't know what the difference in rules are. I think some of them kind of ran both. So there is that. So speaking of Dirt Track Supply, brings us our last lap. Of course, Dirt Track Supply in Watertown, South Dakota, home of the Aero chassis. They do everything, Bert. Anything involving racing. If you need fab work done, you need a car, you need tires, you need safety equipment, you need parts. Ron and Trevor do a great job in Watertown. Give them a call. That's Dirt Track Supply. So let's start with you, Bert. You mentioned Andy Carl's name here. A little Springborn incident here a couple weeks ago. Got a little feedback there.
Yeah, if you remember last week, we talked about the incident that him and Troy Springborn had at Shawano Speedway. And, we both agreed that, if Andy Carl wouldn't have stopped on the track, that, no caution would have come out. Well, he reached out to me on Facebook, and I got a message from him. He goes, do you want to know what really happened? And I said, yeah, I'd love to know. So I printed out the messages that he sent me. He said the truth is he never saw Troy down below him. And he said maybe I should have. Watching the video, he was darn close. After the hit, after Troy hit the tire and then Troy hit Carl and they slid up the track, Andy Carl said the steering wheel got knocked out of his hands and he slammed on the brakes and tried going again. and it felt like he was on two cylinders, so he just stopped. He said that they've been having fuel issues for 4 races in a row, so I don't know if that played into it or not. Yeah, he was pretty candid with me. He was on, he said that he's racing on a low budget, and if he would have known Troy was there, he would have just let him go. But in hindsight, he said that he wishes he would have stayed on the gas, because it probably would have saved the caution. And then I told him he was doing really good. He was doing good for a rookie this year, and we need all the rookie late model drivers we can get. And he said that he's just trying to gimp the car through the season. He's actually racing a 2012 chassis.
And he was leading. He had a legit shot to win that race.
Yeah, he led 11 laps. And
right.
And he said the motor in the car was built in 2013, and nobody knows how many shows it has on it. So I was glad that he reached out to me, and he was honest. He said, I didn't see him, and he's a rookie, so I'll give him a little bit of slack. And what I told him is, just learn from the experience, and just keep digging.
Well, one thing I know for sure, Bert, is everybody, me, you, all of us racers, doesn't matter. Mistakes happen, right? That's how learning is done, right? And he's won a lot of races. He won a lot of races last year in that modified. So if you can win races in a modified, that typically translates to winning races in a late model as well. Sounds like he's on a low budget. So, got to be honest, kind of like them low budget guys. Might have to cheer for that 61 a little bit more. So, I got a couple of things here, Bert. So, Ogilvy Raceway, scary deal here. I don't know if you saw it. I don't want to post no video or nothing like that. There's a video floating around. I don't know if it's real tasteful to post that on the show. But they had bus races here this past week, and there was an incident where the bus sounds like it just lost control. Don't know all the details. Looks like he got in the fence, crossed over the track, went through the infield. I heard the throttle stuck, more than likely did. But Nate Fisher, he's a promoter at Ogilvy. His kid, Jordan, was there next to a four-wheeler, seemingly looked like way out, out of harm's way in the infield, right? Kind of by the go-kart track. That bus came across, Bert, came out of nowhere, and he could not move fast enough, and he got hit hard. And it sent him sailing, and it was touch and go for a minute. Sounds like he was kind of unresponsive for a short period of time there, which probably feels like an eternity. Got life flighted out. Last I heard is it's Monday today. We're doing the show. I heard he's getting out of the hospital today. Don't know if he did, but it sounds like things are looking up. But I tell you what, there's a lot. I got text messages going. I think they just killed a guy at Ogilvy, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? So thank God that he's okay. That could have been a heck of a lot worse, but that just goes to show. Sometimes you feel like, hey, I'm in a pretty safe spot, but tell you what, things happen just like that, and so glad to see he's okay. Another incident, we talked about Dave Flynn a little bit. He's in his second year in a late model, won a bunch of races in a super stock. Him and Ryan Savoy, good buddies. Ryan Savoy wins a bunch in the Midwest Mod. Actually, Bert, leading the XR Northern Storm Midwest Mod points right now. There was an incident with a bonfire. Again, I'm not going to get into all the details, but it ended up with Ryan Savoy and Ryan's wife and Dave's wife getting severely burned. And in ICU. They got a long road ahead of them. So thoughts and prayers with them on a speedy recovery. It's, glad to see they made, they're alive, but it was really, really scary situation. And there's nothing more scary to me than fire, right? You don't want to burn, we've all seen that. So just hopefully they get healed up. And I talked to Bree, and she's like, probably done for the season. I'm like, I wouldn't even worry about racing. Racing will be here when you get done. Just get healed up. That's the important thing. All great people too, right? They're the kind of people that everybody at the racetrack gets along with. So just want to see them get healthy. So this week, a few big races we talked about, Bert. We talked about the late models, 5,000 to win, right? For late models and mods at Cedar Lake, big paydays there. And then Pat Capella throwing a bunch of money. He's been putting money towards racing this year. Gondik Law Speedway Friday, Hibbing Raceway Saturday, Helberline Speedway and Proctor on Sunday. All 3 nights, Bert, $5,000 to win for the late models. So a lot of money on the line. And the Mountain States Mod Tour, of course, rained out earlier this year out west. I believe that is Sheridan and Big Sky, 4 nights of racing for the Wissota Midwest Mods, IMCA Mods, and Wissota Street Stocks. A lot of money on the line out there as well. You have are you going to either of the, you go probably Shawano Dirt Kings, right? So you're going to go to
I will be going to Shawano Dirt Kings. I want to go to Langlade. I think I'm going to try. I work until 5. I live about 40 minutes away from the track. So if I come home, let the dogs out, I should still be able to get there before the races start. So I'm thinking of going to Langlade also. I haven't seen races at Langlade since probably like 2008.
Well, there you go. I tell you what, I'm going to the Prairie Dirt Classic, Bert. I'm fired up for a little hashtag falls. My daughter's coming down, bringing her friend. Super excited about that. I tried to go to the race, Mother Nature didn't cooperate. See how things go Saturday. I'll do a coin toss. Am I going to go to Prairie Dirt Classic for the A mains? Am I going to go help the Dulciac boys park in Victory Lane? We'll see what happens. Kind of leaning towards falls, but man, I haven't been there for a while. Dave, I should put on the not hot list. Still got second last week, but between Mother Nature and nights off at Sycamore, he's kind of needing a win. So I might have to go help him. We'll see.
I have a question for you though. What do you hope to be doing when you're 82 years old?
Well, being right side up would be a good thing, right? Maybe playing a little golf, maybe taking my dentures in and out. I'm not really sure. Why? What do you got?
Well, this last Saturday night, it was the 3,000 to win mod special, obviously at Shawano Speedway, and Jerry Munster, who races at Shawano Speedway weekly, 82 years old, won his heat race. So, I mean, yeah, like I just hope that I can function when I'm 82.
No kidding. I tell you what, my dad and I talked about that. My dad looked at my mom. He's like, we talked about Red Farmer here a while back. He's like, some of these people are way older than me and still racing. She's like, don't even think about it. I'm not even 50 yet. I feel like a quitter. So congratulations to him on a great heat win. I mean, being still racing at that age that's pretty cool. It just is. So our last segment here, Bert, the 3 bold predictions, where every week we make 3 sometimes bold, sometimes not so bold, but 3 racing related predictions where we have to decipher, is this something that can happen or did happen or did not happen? Not an opinion-based deal. Of course, this segment brought to you by Mason Aaron's Videos. Huge thanks to Mason for doing our editing. He's got a lot of great content, such a great ambassador to the sport, not opinionated like this guy right here. He just loves racing, wants to be a part of it, and I tell you what, he's done a lot of great things. So check him out on Facebook, YouTube. That's Mason Aaron's Videos. So, Bert, we had a few come off the board this week, and got to be honest, I think the bad beat of the week goes to you, because you said there was going to be 75 or more stock cars at the King of the Creek. Bert, how many cars were there?
There were 74.
Oh, that kind of stings a little. You said Benji Lacrosse was going to win $10,000 this weekend, and should have paid off the tech guy. That didn't happen. But what did he start at 13th and got
13th,
second?
13th the second.
13th the second is amazing, but it's still a no. You said Pat Doer was going to win 2 on the XR swing. That one, Bert, is still on the board because they did postpone the Twin 25. He does have 1, so that one's kind of still out there a little bit. I, on episode 167, said, because last year, if you remember, the posse kind of dominated in Pennsylvania. I said the World of Outlaws were going to win at least 3 in Pennsylvania this year. Well, they got their 3rd, and I think their 4th this weekend, so I eclipsed that. That's a yes. I said on episode 185, a Wisconsin driver is going to win the Cedar Lake Speedway 5,000 to win race in the Superstocks. Bill Engelstad, thank you very much. All right. I'm starting to think this is rigged. Maybe I'm criticizing Bill. Maybe he's just looking out for my points, right? Because Dexton Cook was a Minnesota driver, didn't get it done. That went to Tommy Richards. So that's a point for the old 71. Hey, thanks, Billy. And Daryl Nelson, there was big talk. He blew up an engine and wrecked a car. Got some family stuff going on with Missy being sick. Thoughts and prayers to Missy. Hopefully she gets back up on her feet sooner rather than later as well. But there was talk that indefinitely we're done. They said we're done. Racers say that all the time. But I said he was going to be back in a late model in a mod before the second week of August. Yeah, that happened Thursday. So that didn't last very long. So Daryl Nelson back in both cars. And I said Dustin Sorensen was going to win at least one A-Main this week in the late model. Birdie led some laps, didn't get it done, went backwards. So that was a no. And Jeff Krause said RTJ was going to DNF at Houston's. He was a hard charger, did not DNF. He said another super stock was going to get disqualified for Spring Angle this week. That did not happen. And he said there'd be a first-time street stock winner at Viking Speedway. And got to be honest with you, I didn't check on that. I don't have a yes or no. I don't know if Jeff checked on that, so I'll have to talk to Krause to see if that happened or not. So, right now, Bert, we're tied, buddy. We're tied. We're both at 40%. Yeah, I was way behind you. Caught you. Now it's a race. Now it's a game.
I'm getting too bold with my picks, I think.
No, you're doing just fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. So you're at 30, or I'm at 30 correct and 45 incorrect. And that's 40%. You're at 32 and 48 incorrect. That's at 40%. I have 17 left on the board. You have 18. The listeners, 4 correct, 14 incorrect for the listeners. So I got Eric sent me 3 bold predictions. We don't have Krause on here, so there's going to be 3 of us. We'll make 3 trips around here, 3 laps, and we'll each pick. I'll let you go first, then I'll say Eric's pick, then I'll say mine. What say you?
I will say 2 Illinois drivers will have podium finishes at Falls.
2
in the late models. In the late models.
So specifically 2 or at least 2?
At least 2.
Okay. So at least 2 of the top 3 at the Prairie Dirt Classic in the late models will be Illini drivers. Off the record, who are the 2 that you have in mind?
Well, I picked Pierce to win it, so I'll go with Pierce and I'll go with Bishop.
Okay. So Eric has, based on Dexton Cook's last week and kind of his hunger, Dexton Cook will be your WISSOTA Superstock National Champion in 2023, and he will have over 30 feature wins to get that done. Okay, so my first pick, Bert, is I'm gonna go to the Prairie Dirt Classic. They had 82 late models, I believe, in 2022. I'm gonna take the under. They're gonna have less late models in 2023 than what they had in 2022.
Okay. So now it's me?
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna give him another chance. Derek Vessel will win at Hibbing in the late models.
All right, giving the old Sweet 16 a little love there. We're going to go with kind of on that same thing for Eric here. Eric has Kyle Peterlin and Kevin Burdick will both win one of the 5,000, at least one of the 5,000 to win races this weekend. So Kyle Peterlin, Kevin Burdick will parlay 2 of them winning. So I'm gonna go to Cedar Lake Speedway to their 5K in no particular order. Jake Rudetsky, Pat Dorr, Daryl Nelson will be the 3 drivers on the podium at Cedar Lake's 5K in the late models.
Okay. I'm gonna go Nick Avalink will not finish in the top 3 at Shawano Speedway.
This weekend at the Dirt Kings?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were going to snipe one from me because I got Avalink. God, I hope he's there. So, little silly season with sprint cars, Bert. First of all, World of Outlaw points tied, right? Brad Sweet, right? David Gravel tied for the point lead. Macri lost a ride here, family ride the week of the million. Jacob Allen indefinitely stepping away from his ride, right? Not sure the details there. So Eric said Jacob Allen will not be in a sprint car for the remainder of the 2023 season. I don't know where he's at there. I'm gonna go Nick Avalink here, Bert. I hope he doesn't go to Cedar because that'll pimp me on this one. But Nick Avalink, as long as both of these races happen, Mother Nature doesn't cancel, right? So if Anago and Shawano both happen this weekend, Nick Avalink's winning both. So you're over there smirking. You might know something that I don't know. So that would not be good.
I sent him a text today asking if he was racing the Dirt Kings. He said he's racing Friday night for sure. He's up in the air Saturday. He may go to Cedar on Saturday. He's not sure yet. So
yeah, Nick, you need to go to Shawano. That's where you need to win. So there is that. So Bert, that's episode 187 in the book. A lot of racing to be had. Of course, go ahead.
Actually, speaking of Nick Avalink, he was going to race Cedar last week for the 5,000 to win. I don't know how far he was. I don't know if he was all the way to Cedar or how far he was to Cedar. But they found out that they were canceled, so they hustled back so he could race Shawano on Saturday night.
He didn't do very good either.
No, they got a little bit of rain in the afternoon, so it was a fast track, and it was kind of, you ride the cushion, and there wasn't a lot of passing in the late model division.
Yeah, so he's due. The old 15 knows how to get to the front there. I have a feeling he's going to get a couple. So episode 187 in the book, always fun talking racing. Get to your favorite racetrack, bring somebody with you. As always, if you have feedback, if you want to be part of the 3 bold predictions, just shoot something over, let us know. And tell you what, check out our sponsors. We've got a lot of great ones there in the link below. Take a look at all those sponsors. And Bert, always a pleasure.
I got one more thing. I got one more
last thing.
Puka would get mad at me.
Is this a last lap restart? Last lap restart here. What do you got?
Puka would get mad at me if I forgot to say this because he sent me a text. Make sure that you wish Ryan a happy birthday because you have a birthday coming up. So
I do.
Happy birthday.
That's next Monday. And my daughter's birthday was this past Wednesday. My girlfriend's birthday, of course, is actually tomorrow, right? So July is just cool. All the cool kids born in July just is what it is. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Thanks, Puka. And you guys have a good night. Hope you enjoyed the show. Give us all the feedback down below. Let us know if you have anything you want to add, and we'll see y'all next week.